This week, President Donald Trump announced another run for the White House. This marks the third time he has sought that job. This coming at Mar-a-Lago, his estate in Florida, in front of a crowd that was enthusiastic. Now, given his announcement, we went out to a number of elected leaders across the state of Tennessee, and this was really within an hour after the president announced, and we asked these elected Republicans, would you today endorse the former president in his run for the White House? This was the list: Senator Blackburn, Senator Hagerty, Governor Bill Lee. We also talked to congressmen as well as state lawmakers. We didn't hear from all of them. We did hear from a few of them, but zero, not one, John, said they are ready to today endorse the former president.
Yeah, I would say that it's what you don't hear sometimes that is as telling as if you do hear a lot of chatter. In this case, like you said, we heard hardly anything. The one reaction that we did get that was strongest was that fellow right there, that's State Senator Richard Briggs. He's a Republican from Knoxville, and he said it's time to move on. He had his time in the sun, and it's time to move on.
Others hinted at that. Let's go to State Senator Becky Duncan Massey. She said, in part, I've recently had the opportunity to hear Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Mike Pompeo speak in person. They would all be quality candidates. We also heard, John, from Congressman Tim Burchett. He said he had great respect for the accomplishments of the president in office.
He said he supported Trump, and he was also going to be looking at the next field of candidates.
Yes, I'll vote for the best candidate for the Republican Party and our country. So, John, just some perspective. Again, a list of almost 20 elected leaders across Tennessee, and specifically East Tennessee, which tends to vote Republican. If you look at it on a map, it is not just red, but deep red when it comes to presidential elections. I'm not talking about the city, but definitely East Tennessee. Not one endorsement for the former president in his run. What does that say to you?
One could make the observation that people have decided that politely it's just time to let the other candidates come forward, i.e. DeSantis, who appears to be the early favorite. And, the other conclusion I would make is that if people are against Trump, they're just not going to openly say it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about this in perspective, John, because many of the people we talked to did say, listen, we are a long way out from the 2024 race. There are some benchmarks in the race for president. Walk us through some of the timeline that we can expect some major turns in the race for president as we inch closer to 2024.
Well, for sure, believe it or not, we are not that far away from people starting to announce. 2023, you can count on it. He has announced, of course, but we knew he was going to do that anyway. He likes the limelight. He wanted to get in there early. He was probably a little bit chapped at DeSantis at getting a better profile. But certainly spring 2023, you will start seeing people pop up and say, I think I'm going to run. DeSantis, who just got reelected as the Florida governor, probably a great shot at it. He was here. Some of you saw. You may even have been here. He came and visited Knoxville, had a great turnout. I think it was like $500 a pop or something like that. He'll be one of them. We'll see some others. It'll be very interesting. By the way, Wednesday, somebody was asking Mitch McConnell, our neighboring senator up to the north, what he thought about Trump's announcement, and he said, I don't have a dog in that fight.
Mm-hmm. We are going to see divided government again in Washington, with the Republicans assuming control this week of the House. They did win enough seats to do that. And we do see the Democrats retain control of the Senate and, of course, a Democrat in the White House. John, as we look ahead in 2023, there are a lot of major issues that Congress needs to tackle. Is it too close for a presidential election for us to see much of any compromise?
Probably. I think Joe Biden would. It's kind of his record that he likes to compromise. Some people don't like that, but he does like to try and compromise. He'll make the effort. The House Republican leader that will have a hard time holding his group together. It's going to be hard to get much done I would say, in the next 2 years.
Just lastly, as we close on this topic, how many challengers do you expect to see President Biden line up to challenge him?
That's a great question. That is a great question. Again, if you want to just go with the reverse of how the Republicans have been in answering this question, there are Democrats who do not want him to run again. They're like, he is too old. It is time for somebody else. So it's a great question. I would say 2 or 3 at a minimum.
All right. John North with a little presidential perspective on this Sunday morning. And again, we appreciate you watching Inside Tennessee, as always. If you want to see what our Republican lawmakers and Democrats are saying in real time, you can go to our Inside Tennessee page. We have a running list of what they're saying on Twitter. You see Gloria Johnson there, including Representative Jason Zachary. So it's a mix. Again, we'll see you next Sunday right here on Inside Tennessee.